Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with American tech billionaire Elon Musk, discusses collaboration in technology and innovation. India slams Bangladesh's comments on West Bengal situation, says instead of making unwarranted comments, Bangladesh should focus on protecting the rights of its own minorities. US President Donald Trump hints at easing tariff fight with China as global markets continue to bear the brunt. And Hamas says it is ready to release all remaining hostages for an end to Gaza war, but says no longer willing to accept interim truces. Prime Minister Narendra Modi engaged in a constructive conversation today with American tech billionaire Elon Musk, delving into a range of issues of mutual interest. The discussion revisited topics covered during their meeting in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, underscoring the shared vision for technological advancement. Prime Minister highlighted the immense potential for collaboration between India and the United States in the domains of technology and innovation. PM Modi reaffirmed India's steadfast commitment to advancing partnerships in these areas. All right, and DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us live from the newsroom. Hi, Shubhendu. A very good afternoon to you. Indeed, a constructive conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Elon Musk, especially when it comes to technology and innovation. What's the latest you have on this?
That's right, Siddharth. Good afternoon. An important call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who heads the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE in United States, and also a technology pioneer. As we understand, the conversation takes forward the very warm, friendly and meaningful interaction that the two leaders had when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had traveled to the United States in February this year, his first in-person engagement with the new Trump administration. At that point in time, there were some focus areas. US and India have been, for the past many years, important innovation and technology partners, but there was a special focus when they met for the first time, Elon Musk and Prime Minister Modi. In February, the focus was on innovation, technology, space exploration in particular, and also sustainable development. This phone call that has just happened, the interaction, takes forward that conversation in many ways. If we give an example we look at the startup ecosystem, America is one of the world's leading startup ecosystem. India is fast emerging as the world's third largest startup ecosystem. There are a lot of innovation, convergence, the possibilities of which exist between India and the United States. Entities, entrepreneurs, enterprises can work together in a more holistic way. The manner in which India and US see a lot of commonalities in their worldview. Also, if you look at space exploration, for instance, the Gaganyaan project, very exciting project, India's first human space mission. The Indian astronauts are getting important training from NASA and SpaceX. SpaceX directly is Elon Musk's company. So in that sense, there are already several areas where technology partnership is very visible, and this conversation between Prime Minister Modi and Elon Musk is expected to further push the areas and opportunities of collaboration. There is also, in the larger context, if we look at the trade partnership, there are tariff conversations and negotiations that are on. It is about a $200 billion trade between India and United States. Technology sharing, technology partnership plays an important role in that. The vision is to increase it to $500 billion by 2030. So in that sense, great areas of convergence, great opportunities that lie ahead from the government to government connections, from enterprises to enterprise, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Elon Musk as a person is seen as a pioneer in the area of space technology, in mobility and other areas which India is making important forays into. So, And India as a market, great opportunity there too for the two countries, and therefore the call between the two leaders coming at an important point, taking forward the engagements that have already started.
And especially when it comes to space collaboration, an area where Elon Musk belongs to. And apart from that, this constructive call speaks volumes about the cooperation between the two countries in various domains, and especially, at a time when tariff war is actually taking over the world, and, the stock markets are, crashed at times.
That's right, Siddharth. While much of the focus is on the manner in which this tariff negotiation is dominating headlines and also the economies of different countries, with India is taking a stance where it wants to get into a conversation, into negotiations. Technology is an important aspect for the convergence between the United States and India. I mentioned different areas, space exploration, mobility. We know that Tesla would also be making inroads into India. In electric vehicles, there are important technology sharing that can happen between India and United States. And another important aspect, and I'm glad that you mentioned the tariff conversation, because there is a conscious attempt by the United States, not now but past for some time, to diversify its important supply chains, especially technology supply chains, away from China. We see the most direct conflict of this trade tariff developments is happening with China. So in that sense, America is with more energy looking for partners with whom it can diversify technology supply chain. And India has emerged as an important partner in that domain. Just for an example, Apple iPhone, most of which were manufactured in China till now, about 80% is still done in China. But that diversification has happened in India. Some 20% is happening in India and Vietnam. So in the larger context of supply chain partnership, supply chain decoupling and diversification, India-US partnership has an important scope, and therefore this conversation can also be seen as exploring avenues where the two countries can work closely even while trade negotiations happen, given the convergences, given the sort of democratic values that the two countries uphold. Huge opportunities for the two sides to work together. And therefore, a significant conversation between Elon Musk and Prime Minister Modi.
You're right there. Thank you so much, Shubhendu. Of course, lots and lots of opportunities when it comes to the constructive conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Elon Musk, and also given the trade between both the countries, like our correspondent just mentioned, and also lots and lots of opportunity it paves the way for. Moving on. India's Ministry of External Affairs has slammed Bangladesh for the comments made by its officials on the developments in West Bengal. The MEA in a statement said, and I quote, "We reject the remarks made by the Bangladesh side with regard to the incidents in West Bengal. This is barely disguised and disingenuous attempt to draw a parallel with India's concerns over the ongoing persecution of minorities in Bangladesh, where the criminal perpetrators of such acts continue to roam free. Instead of making unwarranted comments and indulging in virtue signaling, Bangladesh would do better to focus on protecting the rights of its own minorities." And DD India's Amritpal Singh joins us live for more updates. Hi Amritpal, a very good afternoon to you. India has slammed Bangladesh over its remarks made on developments in West Bengal. Could you elaborate what actually happened for our viewers?
After the Murshidabad violence in Bengal, in West Bengal, the Bangladesh Foreign Office, Bangladesh's Chief Advisor, spokesperson Shafiqul Alam made some statements saying that India should protect its minorities, and it's incumbent upon both India and the West Bengal government to protect the minorities and look at their safety. And he was basically reacting to some insinuation and reports about Bangladesh's involvement in, or groups in Bangladesh's involvement in the violence that took place in Murshidabad, which left 3 dead. So he was discarding that, but he, made these remarks saying that India should look at its minorities. In that reaction, this reaction of the Indian Foreign Office has come, where they have slammed Bangladesh, saying that rather than make such kind of remarks,
They should look at their own internal affairs and look at protecting the minorities there. Siddharth?
Dhaka, in fact, Amritpal also, denied their involvement in the violence which took place in Murshidabad. But could you also tell us what are India's concerns when it comes to minorities in Bangladesh? And given the current situation, what impact would it likely to cause on the bilateral relations between both the nations?
Well, after the toppling of the Sheikh Hasina government, there were a series of attacks on, the minorities there, especially the Hindus, their temples, places of worship. So India raised this concern at various levels, including with the chief advisor and by first the foreign secretary who made a visit. Indian Foreign Office spoke with them about the situation of the minorities. India, other countries had also, spoken about that, including Europe and the United States. India's concerns essentially are that the minorities there should be protected, one. Second, there should be no, infiltration into India of anti-national or anti-social elements which may foment trouble in India. So these are the concerns. How it'll affect bilateral relations? Of course, you've seen the kind of statements coming out of Bangladesh. India's retaliated as well, both by giving strong statement and taking measures, including stopping the transshipment, saying that it's causing problems. So clearly, India is tightening the noose on Bangladesh, and unless Bangladesh gets its house in order, it does not augur well for the bilateral relations between the two countries. So
Indeed, and India also, explained the reason behind its decision to withdraw the transshipment facility. Amritpal, do you have any update on that?
Well, India, when it discontinued the transshipment facility, had said that the kind of logjam it's causing on both the land borders and at the ports was the reason why it has discontinued it. But clearly it is also a signaling which is unsaid but understood, signaling to Bangladesh that they cannot keep using the facilities from India and not act in as a friendly neighbor. So, in a sense, it's a clear signaling to Dhaka that they need to get their house in order and address the concerns that India has, and also look at the violence and bring to justice the perpetrators of those violence who continue to roam freely, as is reflective in the statement issued by the Foreign Office today.
With that, thank you so much, Amritpal. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Canadian Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader Mark Carney receives grilling at election debate, turns focus to Trump. US strike on Yemen fuel port kills at least 38.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Shifting focus. US President Donald Trump expressed confidence that a trade deal with the European Union is 100% possible following a meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House on Thursday. Trump's bold declaration came amid ongoing tensions over trade tariffs, including 20% tariff he initially imposed on EU imports and later paused for 90 days. We get you details in our next report.
US President Donald Trump and Giorgia Meloni hit an optimistic note and expressed confidence that the United States and Europe will be able to negotiate a trade deal before his 90-day pause on some tariffs ends. The two leaders struck a warm tone during a working lunch and a meeting in the Oval Office. Trump said he was 100% certain of an eventual trade deal with Europe.
Oh, there'll be a trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course there'll be a trade deal, very much. They want to make one very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
Meloni positioned herself as an intermediary between the United States and Europe and was equally confident of the deal. The Italian leader said Trump had accepted an invitation to visit Rome in the near future, and he might also meet European leaders there.
Somebody calls me such a Western nationalism. I don't know if it is the right word, but I'm sure that together we are stronger. And I have to find a way. I'm here to find the best way to make us both stronger on the two shores of the Atlantic.
Besides, the two leaders also discussed defense spending and immigration, on which Trump praised her Italian leader for her strong-armed approach to immigration in Italy, calling her an example for the rest of Europe. A European Commission spokeswoman said that while the EU alone could negotiate trade agreements, Meloni's outreach is very welcome and was coordinated with Brussels. Following Thursday's meeting with Trump, Meloni will fly back to Rome on Friday in time to host US Vice President J.D. Vance, with whom she had a meeting planned. Bureau Report, DD India.
President Trump indicated a possible easing of tariff tensions with China, suggesting he may not raise tariffs further to avoid discouraging consumer spending. While he previously imposed 10% tariffs and later increased rates on Chinese imports, both the US and China now appears less inclined to escalate the trade conflict. Here's a report.
US President Donald Trump said on Thursday that the United States was in talks with China on tariffs. A day after saying that the ball is in China's court, Trump on Thursday signaled a potential end to the tit-for-tat tariff hikes that shocked markets. Although his administration has hinted that the possibility of securing up to 90 trade deals during the 90-day pause in tariffs. Trump tempered expectations, saying that any agreements would come at a certain point, downplaying the urgency of a fast-track timeline.
At a certain point, yeah, we're in no rush. We're in no rush. Moving along very nicely, and we're going to end up with a baseline of a substantial number, which we never got anything. You know, the United States never got anything. Oh, we're going to make a deal. We'll have a deal. I think we're going to make a very good deal with China.
Speaking in Oval Office, Trump said that China and the US are in talks to make a deal on tariffs and that it can be made over the next 3 or 4 weeks. The president was cagey when asked if he had spoke directly with Chinese President Xi Jinping, despite having dropped several hints in the past that he has.
I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to continue. And I would say they have reached out a number of times.
Xi or they?
Well, the same. I view it very similar. It would be top levels of China. And if you knew him, you would know that if they reached out, he knew exactly. He knew everything about it. He runs it very tight, very strong, very smart. And yeah, we're talking to China.
Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Cambodia was being seen as a charm offensive in Southeast Asia, where he has also stopped by Vietnam and Malaysia in the wake of the US tariffs that hit the region hard. Meanwhile, the Trump administration shielded on Thursday domestic exporters and vessel owners servicing the Great Lakes, the Caribbean, and the US territories from port fee to be levied on China's built vessels, aiming to revive US shipbuilding. The Federal Register notice posted by the US Trade Representative was watered down from a February proposal for a fees on China-built ships for up to $1.5 million per port, call that sent a chill through the global shipping industry. Bureau Report, DD India.
Ukraine and the United States on Thursday signed a memorandum as an initial step towards the clinching of an agreement on developing minerals in Ukraine. Kyiv and Washington are set to start new round of negotiations on April 24. They aim to complete technical discussions on the terms of a minerals deal agreement by April 26. Both sides had discussed signing a deal on extracting Ukraine's strategic minerals in February. But a clash between US President Trump and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky temporarily derailed work on the agreement. Trump administration appears to have softened the stance on minerals deal with Ukraine. Trump said that he wants the deal, designed to give the US royalty payments on profits from Ukrainian mining of resources and rare minerals.
We have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday, soon. And I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see. But we have a deal on that. No, I have no comment on that. I have no idea. That's his statement, not mine.
France said that talks on Thursday between top US and European officials on the Ukraine conflict had launched a positive process as Europe seeks to be included in efforts to end the three-year-old conflict. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has again praised a US peace plan during the discussions in Paris. A new meeting of envoys from the United States, France, Britain, Germany and Ukraine will take place next week in London. Rubio later called Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to discuss the Paris meeting. Lavrov and Rubio agreed on the need to maintain prompt communication channels in light of the London meeting next week. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that he hoped Europeans would remain engaged in US-led talks towards a Ukraine ceasefire.
We've talked about outlines of both sides. I thought we had positive meetings yesterday. Obviously, the Ukrainians have to go back home. They have to run it by their president. They have to take into account, their views on all of this, and we hope to hear back from them very soon. This is important, but there are a lot of other really important things going on that deserve just as much, if not more, attention. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
A deputy sheriff's son killed 2 people and wounded 4 others at Florida State University on Thursday before he was shot by officers and hospitalized. Police believe the gunman acted alone and a motive was not known. The suspect had access to his mother's handgun. Responding police officers shot the gunman when he failed to obey orders to surrender and took him into custody. The 4 wounded victims plus the gunman were taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds. Mass shootings on US school campuses have become recurring tragedies in recent years, and Thursday's incident was the second shooting on the FSU campus in 11 years. US President Trump described shooting as terrible and said he had an obligation to protect the Second Amendment when asked if he saw a need for the reform.
Only in terms of what happened. As far as legislation is concerned, this has been going on for a long time. I have an obligation to protect the Second Amendment. I ran on the Second Amendment, among many other things, and I will always protect the Second Amendment.
US agencies, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and Removal Operations arrested terrorist Harpreet Singh involved in attacks in Punjab in the US on Friday. Harpreet Singh is also linked to 2 international terrorist groups. According to the FBI, he entered the US illegally and used burner phones to evade capture. Harpreet Singh is among the 4 terror operatives of the Babbar Khalsa International charge sheeted by India's National Investigation Agency of India in 2024 Chandigarh grenade attack case. Earlier on March, the NIA charge sheeted 4 terror operatives of the Babbar Khalsa International Terrorist Organization in the 2024 Chandigarh grenade attack case. The charge-sheeted accused include Pakistan-based designated individual terrorist Harvinder Singh Sandhu alias Rinda and US-based Harpreet Singh alias Happy Pasia. The new US ambassador to Japan, George Glass, has said he was extremely optimistic that the 2 countries will agree a trade deal after Tokyo's tariffs envoy held talks in Washington.
I was very optimistic. I've met now with most of the principals who are in the room and doing the negotiating and talking this through. And I'm extremely optimistic that something's, that a deal will get done. We have the best and the brightest from Japan there doing the negotiations. We have the best and brightest from the United States. The Secretary of Treasury, the Secretary of Commerce are both people that I know and have spoken with and are brilliant in their fields. And they're also very creative, out-of-the-box thinkers.
Japan to resume trade talks with the US later this month, informed Japan's Economic Revitalization Minister Ryozai Akazawa, who is also the lead negotiator in the talks. Akazawa was addressing the media upon his return to Tokyo. He informed that his American counterparts have agreed to hold talks in the later half of the month, while mentioning the message of the Japanese PM that the country hopes to reach a deal with the US as soon as possible.
During our discussions with Trade Secretary Besant, Commerce Secretary Lutnick and Trade Representative Greer, we agreed that we should reach a consensus as soon as possible through a frank exchange of ideas and discussion with the aim of making an announcement at a leaders' summit. We have also agreed that the next round of talks should be held this month.
Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney faced sustained attacks from his Conservative rival at an election debate on Thursday, but the Liberal leader sought to focus attention on what he calls Canada's top threat, President Donald Trump. Most opinion polls show Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party is trailing Carney's Liberals ahead of the April 28 vote. As the campaign has evolved, Poilievre has increasingly sought to do both, condemning Trump while accusing the Liberals of the weakening the economy during Trudeau's decade in power and leaving Canada vulnerable to hostile US policies.
We are facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes. Donald Trump is trying to fundamentally change the world economy, the trading system. But really what he's trying to do to Canada, he's trying to break us so the US can own us. They want our land, they want our resources, they want our water, they want our country. We're all going to stand up against Donald Trump.
Liberal promises. Can you afford food? Is your housing more affordable than it used to be? What is your cost of living like compared to what it was a decade ago? And are you prepared to elect the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal staffers all over again for a fourth term? Mr. Carney, Justin Trudeau's staffers are actually here with you at this debate in Montreal, writing the talking points that you are regurgitating into the microphone. How can we possibly believe that you are any different than the previous 10 years of Liberal government?
Hamas on Thursday rejected Israel's latest proposal of partial Gaza truce. In a televised speech, Khalil al-Hayya, who leads the Hamas negotiating team for indirect talks with Israel, said the group refused an interim truce deal. He said Hamas was ready to immediately negotiate a deal to swap all hostages for an agreed number of Palestinians jailed by Israel and the reconstruction of Gaza as part of a broader deal to end the conflict. Egyptian mediators have been working to revive the January ceasefire agreement that halted fighting in Gaza before breaking down last month, but there has been little sign of progress, with both Israel and Hamas blaming each other for the lack of a deal. Israel restarted its offensive in Gaza in March, and talks to try to restore the ceasefire have so far failed to achieve a breakthrough. US strikes on a Yemeni fuel port killed at least 38 people in one of the deadliest attacks of Washington's renewed campaign against the Iran-backed group. Houthi rebels on Friday said the strikes also injured more than 100 people, according to a Houthi-run television station that broadcast footage of large blazes lighting up the night sky. The US military said its overnight attack on the Ras Issa fuel port aimed to cut off a source of supplies and funds for the Houthis, who control large swathes of the Arabian Peninsula's poorest country. The US military has hammered the Houthis with near-daily airstrikes since March 15 in a bid to end their attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The second round of nuclear talks between US and Iranian officials is scheduled to take place in Rome on Saturday, while Oman's foreign ministry will continue to mediate. Let's now take a look at the timeline of the key comments from Trump and Iranian leaders ahead of the second round of talks. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met for 45 minutes last Saturday in Oman. Both sides called first round of talks positive while acknowledging that any potential deal remains distant. Trump, who abandoned an earlier nuclear deal with Iran during his first term in 2018, said on Monday he was willing to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities if a new deal was not reached. However, on Thursday, Trump asserted that he is not in a rush to do it because he thinks Iran has a chance to have a great country. Earlier on Wednesday, Araghchi had said that Iran's right to enrich uranium is not negotiable. Ahead of the second round of talks, Russian President Vladimir Putin held talks at the Kremlin with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Thursday in Kremlin. Araghchi delivered a message from Iran's leader Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei to President Putin. He explained that the message concerns international and regional developments as well as bilateral issues. Russia, a long-standing ally of Tehran, plays a role in Iran's nuclear negotiations with the West as a veto-wielding UNSC member and a signatory to an earlier nuclear deal. West says Iran is refining uranium to a high degree of fissile purity beyond what is justifiable for a civilian nuclear energy program and close to the level suitable for an atomic bomb. Iran denies seeking nuclear weapons and says it has a right to a civilian nuclear program. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Kuwait backs India for UN Security Council seat. Bhagavad Gita Natya Shastra inscribed in UNESCO's Memory of World Register. PM Modi says proud moment. And today, Christians around the world are marking Good Friday. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and a quick recap of the headlines. India Sam's Bangladesh comments on West Bengal situation, says instead of making unwarranted comments, Bangladesh should focus on protecting the rights of its own minorities. US President Donald Trump hints at easing tariff fight with China as global markets continue to bear the brunt. And Hamas says it is ready to release all remaining hostages for an end to Gaza war, but says no longer willing to accept interim truces. Markets are closed and there is no business across large parts of the world today, including Europe. The high holiday of Good Friday marks the beginning of Easter, but it's also the beginning of the travel season. Lars Halter is with and he joins me from Berlin. Lars, can you tell us about travel and the trends this year?
Thanks for having me. I guess the most surprising thing I can tell you is that most people in the travel industry are expecting a strong year. Now, I find that surprising because we've heard over and over again that people currently are worried that business isn't doing well. Here in Germany, we're in a recession with 2 years definitely seeing a shrinking economy and this year being a forecast as another weak year. So you would think that people are trying to save some money and maybe forego trips, but you'd be wrong. It it turns out that people are still traveling, with some business insiders even saying that travel is one of the last things that people tend to cut back on. So whether it's hotels and restaurants in traditional tourism hotspots, whether it's trip organizers, travel agents, or even travel book publishers, I found a surprising amount of optimism in the sector.
And where are people traveling to then? Are there any trends?
There's really no big surprises here. Now, I've been looking at German tourism and saw some numbers for other EU countries too, and it seems most of the destinations are the same old classics. Top of the list are London, Vienna, Paris, Rome, and Berlin when it comes to city travel, with people seeking out cultural spots and going for regular sightseeing. Then, of course, there are the traditional beach vacations, and that is mostly the Spanish island of Mallorca. There are Crete and Sardinia. Generally, looking at mainlands, it's Italy, Spain, Greece, and Portugal. There's one outlier. Japan is on the rise as a tourist destination. That is strange because it's obviously far away and that makes for an expensive trip. But there's apparently a shift happening where more and more people are eager to explore parts of the world that have a different culture. Then maybe one trend that has a bit to do with money constraints. There seem to be more people going camping or booking outdoor adventures. Then again, depending on the trip and even the gear, this might not be much cheaper than more traditional getaways.
All right, Lars, thank you so much for joining in. And Ecuador's leftist presidential challenger Luisa Gonzalez has said she will formally challenge the result of Sunday's election, claiming widespread fraud despite losing support from a key allied party. Since Sunday, Gonzalez has alleged that there was a grotesque fraud and said she would contest the results with the elections authority. According to electoral law, challenges must be submitted within 2 days of the vote count's conclusion. The electoral body has not yet responded, but previously stated it would accept and review any formal complaints filed in accordance with the law. Official results show President Daniel Noboa leading by over 1 million votes, having won the runoff after a tight first-round contest in February.
All of these extremely serious findings will be challenged before the competent authorities, which are unfortunately currently under the control of those in power, as well as before all legal bodies that can assist us. This is to prevent Ecuador from becoming a country without peace, freedom, or democracy.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. In Turkey, the Anadolu agricultural enterprise established under the Ottoman Empire continues to breeding champion horses for the military. Founded in 1815, the enterprise has raised the most important Arabian horses in the country's horse racing history. London Zoo has announced the successful hatching of 3 extinct in the wild Socorro dove chicks. The initiative is a part of an international program to reintroduce this extinct in the wild species to Mexico's Socorro Island by 2030 after its critical decline since 1970s due to the loss of habitat and the introduction of non-native predators. The New York's Frick Collection was reopened for the public on Thursday after the $220 million renovation of its Gilded Age mansion off Fifth Avenue. Marking its return for the first time in 5 years, the museum will inaugurate its new auditorium later this month with a music festival. For the first time in its 37-year history, under 15 players are being allowed to compete in annual Australian Sikh Games in Sydney. This comes with a ruling that all senior teams entering the games must also enter a junior team. More than 100,000 viewers and athletes are expected to participate. United Nations held a press conference on the status of intergovernmental negotiations on reforms of the United Nations Security Council. Tariq Al-Banai, the permanent representative of the intergovernmental negotiations, said during the conference that India is a contender for an expanded Security Council. He also said that the expanded Security Council may have up to 27 members and the expansion can be possible by 2030.
the goal of this reformed council must be representative. And obviously India is a main player on the world stage today, but it is a membership of 193 countries, right? And the consideration is representative for everybody and the whole membership of the United Nations. So surely if the decision is made that the expansion of the council goes to from anywhere from 21 to 27 members, then surely India will be a contender in that and will be subject to the decision of the wider membership.
India's Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan is currently on a 5-day visit to Brazil to attend the 15th BRICS Agriculture Ministers meeting in Brasilia. Shivraj Singh Chauhan held a strategic meeting with the Russian delegation at BRICS to strengthen agricultural cooperation between the two nations. Both sides also explored deeper collaboration in sustainable and climate-resilient agriculture. The minister acknowledged Russia's continued support and extended a cordial invitation to participate as a partner country in World Food India 2025 to be held in September. He also invited Russia to participate in the upcoming WAVE Summit set to be held in Mumbai in May 2025. In a major boost to India's design and manufacturing ecosystem, Union Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting and Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, inaugurated VVDN Technologies' state-of-the-art Mechanical Innovation Park in Manesar today. The facility is expected to play a key role in strengthening indigenous innovation and accelerating the Make in India vision in the electronics and tech space. West Bengal Governor C.V. Ananda Bose has left for Malda on Friday to meet the families impacted by the recent incidents in Murshidabad. The governor is expected to visit the affected areas in Murshidabad on Saturday. His visit comes after Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee asked him to postpone the visit in the riot-hit areas for the few days. Meanwhile, a team of National Human Rights Commission has already arrived in Malda to survey the riot-hit areas in Malda and Murshidabad. Condemning the violence, National Commission for Women Chairperson Vijay Rahatkar also spoke to media and said that the commission will also visit the affected areas and camps and talk to the women affected because of the violence. The commission will prepare its report based on the interactions with the affected women. Sailing vessel INSV Tarini crossed the iconic Cape of Good Hope on 17th of April, marking another monumental milestone in their epic circumnavigation journey. Having successfully navigated the challenging waters of the Southern Ocean and crossed the three major capes, Cape of Good Hope, Cape Leuven and Cape Horn, the crew is now charting a course for India, fueled by determination and adventure. This remarkable feat showcases the crew's exceptional seamanship, resilience and teamwork, setting a new benchmark for Indian sailing and inspiring a nation. The cruise journey is a testament to India's growing presence in global maritime exploration and adventure. In a historic recognition of India's cultural and philosophical legacy, the Bhagavad Gita and Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra have been inscribed in UNESCO's Memory of the World Register. This global honor celebrates India's eternal wisdom and artistic genius. These timeless works are more than literary treasures. They are philosophical and aesthetic foundations that have shaped Bharat's worldview and the way we think, feel, live and express. The announcement has been praised as a significant moment for the country, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi calling it a proud moment for every Indian across the world. The inclusion of Gita and Natya Shastra in UNESCO's Memory of the World Register is a global recognition of a timeless wisdom and rich culture. The Gita and Natya Shastra have nurtured civilization and consciousness for centuries. Their insights continue to inspire the world. April 18 marks the World Heritage Day. This year, theme focuses on heritage under threat from disaster and conflicts. The International Day of Monuments and Sites was approved by 22nd UNESCO General Conference in 1983. More on this report.
Our heritage is not just built of stones, scripts, or ruins. It lives in every carvings on our temples and every brick of our magnificent forts. Celebrating this diversity, World Heritage Day also acts as an apt reminder that these timeless treasures are not only to be admired, but protected and preserved for the future generation. World Heritage Day, also known as the International Day of Monuments and Sites, was approved by the 22nd UNESCO General Conference in 1983. April 18 was chosen as the date for the celebration to honor the day when the Convention concerning the protection of world cultural and natural heritage was adopted by UNESCO in 1982. Currently, the World Heritage List includes 1,223 properties across the globe. These include 952 cultural, 231 natural, and 40 mixed properties in 168 countries. India is home to a rich cultural heritage and houses 43 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which includes cultural and natural landmarks. That includes famous sites like the Taj Mahal, Agra Fort, Ajanta and Ellora Caves, Konark Sun Temple, Khajuraho Monuments, Sundarbans National Park, Kaziranga National Park, etc. This year's theme for World Heritage Day is Heritage Under Threat from Disaster and Conflicts, where awareness is being spread on safeguarding the heritage sites from natural or man-made disasters, threats, or conflicts. The goal is clear: encourage individuals and local communities to cherish their cultural heritage. Bureau Report, TV India.
Let's take a look at other stories making news. Madhya Pradesh's second cheetah project got completed at Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. 2 cheetahs from Kuno National Park will be released here within a week as part of the expansion plan. The sanctuary features 6 quarantine bomas and many upcoming animal hospitals for cheetah care. An under-construction steel bridge about 865 kilometers from Rajouri headquarters in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir collapsed due to severe weather conditions. The bridge was constructed to connect two border blocks, Naushera block and Seri block. Tourists continue to flock to Srinagar district of Jammu and Kashmir, soaking in the breathtaking beauty of Dal Lake. Shikara rides remain a top attraction, offering a serene experience amid the calm waters and scenic surroundings. Visitors are seen enjoying peaceful Shikara rides. Today, Christians around the world are marking Good Friday, one of the most sacred days on the Christian calendar. Why it is called Good Friday despite being a sad and sorrowful day? Many believe that the origin of Good Friday is from the English term God's Friday. All over the world, people stop on this day, Good Friday, to remember, grieve, reflect, and to hope.
Good Friday commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, a central figure in Christianity. According to Christian belief, Jesus, who is the second person of the Holy Trinity, was executed by crucifixion more than 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. His death is seen not just as a moment of loss, but as an act of sacrifice and love believed to have been for the forgiveness of humanity's sins. On this day, churches around the world hold solemn services, prayers, and reenactments of Jesus' final hours. In many countries, processions are held in the streets, and some believers fast or reflect in silence. Despite being called Good Friday, the day remembers a painful and tragic event. But Christians call it good because it represents hope. The belief that Jesus' death led to new life, a message that will be celebrated on Easter Sunday. From small villages to major cities, today is a day of reflection, faith, and remembrance, uniting millions across cultures and continents. Good Friday is observed by nearly 2.4 billion Christians worldwide. And while customs vary, the message at the heart is the same, one of sacrifice, love, and hope. Bureau Report, DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport. And Rajat Patidar-led Royal Challengers Bangalore will face Shreyas Iyer's Punjab Kings in the 34th match of Indian Premier League on Friday. Both Bengaluru and Punjab have equal points in equal games, which is 8 points in 6 games. But Bangalore are currently placed at the 3rd position, whereas Punjab are at 4th. As a team, Punjab will be high on confidence after their 16-run win over Kolkata in recent low-scoring thriller. Even the form guide of both teams is identical. Punjab and Bengaluru started their IPL 2025 campaigns with back-to-back wins before stumbling in their respective third games. Also, the Bengaluru franchise is the only team to have won all 4 of their away matches, but they are yet to open their account at home. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi penned down heartfelt letter to Indian women's hockey stalwart Vandana Kataria, recognizing her outstanding contributions to Indian hockey. The hockey stalwart expressed her heartfelt gratitude to PM Modi after receiving a personal letter of appreciation on the occasion of her retirement from international hockey. In a social media post, Vandana said it was a proud moment for her to receive such recognition from the Prime Minister. On 1st of April, the 32-year-old forward officially announced her retirement from international hockey, bringing to a close a remarkable career that began in 2009. Vandana retired as India's most capped women's hockey player with 320 international appearances and 158 goals, leaving behind a legacy unmatched in the country's hockey history. India has fielded a 56-member boxing squad for the Asian Under-15 and Under-17 boxing championships in Jordan. Standout names in the Under-17 boys squad include Sahil Dohan and Devansh, who clinched silver and bronze respectively at the 2024 Asian Junior Championship. On the girls' side, Samiksha Singh, Anshika and Khushi Chand were among the medal winners at the 2024 Asian School Boys and Girls Boxing Championships. The Under-15 lineup features Ravi Sehag, a bronze medalist from the Asian School Boys Championship in 2024, as well as the 2024 Sub-Junior National Girls Boxing Champion Trishna Mohite. The team has travelled to Oman on 17th of April. The preliminaries begin on 19th of April following the draw. India's squash players Anahat Singh and Veer Chotrani stormed into the semi-finals of the World Championship qualifying event, keeping their hopes alive for a berth at the upcoming World Championships in Chicago. Young sensation Anahat Singh cruised to a straight games victory over Akari of Japan, winning 11-1, 11-7 and 11-15 in her quarter-final clash. The win places her comfortably in the final. Meanwhile, Veer Chotrani, the second seed in men's draw, pulled off a gritty comeback to overcome Malaysia's Mohammad Siafia Kamal. After dropping the opening game, Chotrani rallied to win 9-11, 11-6, 11-6, 11-7 and seal his semi-final spot. The winners of the tournament will secure direct entry into the World Championships in Chicago, scheduled from May 9th to 17th. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz will face Alex de Minaur in the quarterfinals of the Barcelona Open on Friday evening. Earlier, Alcaraz overcame a second-set wobble to defeat Laslo Dere 6-2, 6-4 to reach the quarterfinals. Home favourite Alcaraz saved both break points he faced in first-set stroll, where Dere unable to produce a single winner. Meanwhile, fifth seed Alex de Minaur of Australia secured 6-1, 6-2 win over Britain's Jacob Fierne to reach the quarterfinals. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Nature gives and we take, and sometimes a little too much. But what happens when this balance tips, and who is the most impacted? Let's take a look at some of the solutions that are trying to help these communities.